The world flipped upside down, portals started popping up everywhere, monsters spilled out, and at the same time, normal people randomly woke up with superpowers and became hunters. Hunters have ranks, from E, the weakest, all the way up to S, the strongest. The worst part, if you're stuck at E, your power doesn't grow, you just stay weak forever. No leveling up or anything, and that's where we meet our main guy, Jinwoo. This dude literally holds the title of the weakest hunter around, and everyone knows it. Other hunters actually feel relieved when they see him on a mission, not because they like him, but because it means the monsters are super weak, so they send Sung along. And that's where our story kicks off. The healer is totally wiped out. Sung has worked with her before and is worried about her. She says she's used to being called the weakest, but honestly, she needs the cash for her mom and sister. Their leader, Chio, is rounding them up. Sung pulls out a weapon and a kitchen knife, barely worth the price. He's the last one to get through the gate. Inside, Sung's as happy as a kid with his first gem. But before he can enjoy it, a monster with a dagger shows up. Sung tries to fight back, but his knife snaps in half. The monster stabs him in the gut, but Jo-hee, the old healer, jumps in and saves him. The team definitely nails it, and the team finishes off the boss and grabs the loot. Sung's sitting next to her, checking his wounds while Jo-hee's trying to patch him up. Suddenly, one of them finds a new cave entrance, a rare double gate. This could mean way more loot. They start voting on whether to go in or not. Jo-hee votes no, but Sung, who's been holding down the fort alone and needs the money, is the swing vote. He decides to say yes. So, they all go in, and the team keeps moving through the dark tunnel. Sung apologizes to Jo-hee for dragging them into this. Jo-hee snaps at him, but then softens and tells him it's okay, just hang in there. And finally they reach the end of the tunnel and find a huge door. They decide to open it, and as soon as they enter the giant room, it's lit up with blue flames. But there are no monsters, just the room filled with old, super creepy statues that start whispering to Sung. The door behind them slams shut with a bang. One of the team freaks out and runs to the door, but the real horror begins when one of the statues guarding the door moves. Calmly, it splits the guy in half with its weapon and then goes back to its spot. And suddenly, the giant statue's eyes turned and looked right at him. Sung, with his long experience escaping death, shouted at the top of his lungs, "Everyone, get down, quickly!" At that same moment, a destructive laser beam shot out from the statue's eyes, burning a few people instantly, turning them to ash. Sung managed to shove Jo-hee and save her at the last second, but they were all trapped in this death chamber. The leader, Chio, scolded the others, "No one move, so the statue doesn't attack again." Sung looked over at him, completely shocked, and he didn't respond. He noticed his even bigger shock. Mr. Song had lost his arm. The attack helped him stop the bleeding, or maybe even one of the hunters can't stand it anymore. He says, "Speed is my specialty," and tries to run toward the door. The main statue shows no mercy. 1 second, a laser beam turns him to dust, leaving nothing but his legs. The horror freezes the rest in place. They can't even breathe from fear. Sung yells at them, "Nobody move." Paralyzed with terror, the big statue smiles a terrifying smile like they're freaking out, but the statue is loving the sight. The big statue stands up and starts walking towards them. Everyone's running everywhere. One guy runs to hide behind the statue holding a sword, but that sword-wielding statue moves and splits him in half. Sung notices that only the statues holding weapons are moving, while the ones with musical instruments stay still. This must be the safe zone. He yells at them, and they all run toward the music statues. Chio reaches a trumpet statue. Another guy makes it to the violin statue. Sung pulls Jo-hee toward the drum statue, but he still hasn't found a spot while running. The big statue was about to crush him, and his leg got cut off. At the last moment, he fell under a statue that was singing, and Jo-hee was trying to help him, but her energy ran out. One of the survivors suddenly saw a stone pool rising in the middle of the room. Sung realized this was the final test. He looked at Chio and said, "Aren't you the leader? Take responsibility." Chio agreed and walked to the pool. As soon as he put his foot in, a flame lit up. Sung understood this game wasn't about sacrifice, it was a countdown. He asked the two of them to help him get to the pool. 3 more flames lit up, and Kim and Jo-hee headed over to help. As soon as everyone gathered, the exit door opened, a timer appeared on the blue flame circle, and all the statues started moving towards them. Sung noticed the statue looking at him stand still and shouted at 2 of them got scared, ran away. Kim broke down crying and said, "I have a family," then ran too. Only Sung was left, already missing a leg, and Jo-hee was unconscious but still alive. Cheol decided to stay. He handed her the gemstone their leader had found. He talked and slapped her on the neck to keep her quiet, then grabbed her and ran off. Sung was left alone and picked up the sword that was lying on the ground. The statues attacked him, tore him apart, and a spear got stuck in him. They threw him into the pool, drowning in his own blood. One statue raised its sword to finish him off. A blue screen appeared in front of his face. "Do you accept to become a player?" Sung woke up to find himself in a hospital. He looked under the blanket and saw his leg, which had been cut off, was fine and back where it belonged. The boy who thought everything was just a nightmare realized the real nightmare was about to begin. Then two soldiers came in. The investigator Wu and Inspector Kong told him that he'd been unconscious for 3 days. They asked about what happened. The investigators suspected he might have had another awakening, like his power increased. So they brought out a mana measuring device. Sung got excited, thinking he was finally getting stronger. He placed his hand on it, and the result was 10. This is just normal citizen level. Then he walked away, leaving him frustrated. Sung didn't understand any of it, but he was the only one who saw a strange screen in front of him. His sister was screaming and yelling at him, threatening to quit school and get a job to make him stop all those silly side hustles. Sung felt guilty but made sure she wasn't watching the screen. As soon as he was alone, he turned it on. The system told him it would help him improve, but if he didn't listen, he'd get punished. Suddenly, a daily mandatory task popped up. Sung laughed. 100 push-ups? What nonsense. I barely managed 10. But the system wasn't messing around. Sung woke up to an earthquake, opened his eyes, but couldn't find himself in his room. The hospital found itself right in the middle of a nightmare, and a new screen appeared. The mission was survival. Suddenly, a huge scorpion popped out of the sand and started chasing him. The hospital staff checked his room but didn't find him. They thought he ran away. After those 4 hours, they came back to the room and found him lying on the floor, exhausted. Sung went out and bought a tracksuit. No more messing around. Jo-hee, still shocked by what happened, heard that Sung had woken up and went to visit him, only to find him running laps around the hospital. Every time he did, he'd get rewards and points to level up. One day, he got a weird reward, a key to a special door in an abandoned metro station. Sung went to visit his mom, who was in a coma at the hospital, sick with this strange disease called eternal sleep. He became a hunter to pay the hospital bills. He kept remembering all the times he got beaten up at the gates while the other hunters cursed him and told him to stand on his side. He made up his mind, got stronger, and headed to the abandoned metro station. He used the key and the door. The door opens in front of him. He takes a deep breath and steps inside. As soon as he goes in, the door shuts behind him. There's no turning back. Suddenly, 3 wolves jump out at him. Sung freezes in place, but this time there's no one to help him and no way to defend himself. He's all alone, still trying to figure out what to do. Then, a huge savage wolf with iron teeth appears behind them. Sung stands terrified in front of the iron-toothed wolf, and his knife is already broken. But just as the wolf attacks, Sung's body moves on its own, becoming super fast as he dodges the strike. He gets a surge of confidence. Then he remembered the system. It had a storage room like a toy box. He opened it and found the sword. He grabbed the sword. The wolf showed up too. Someone attacked him, and Sung hit that guy with the sword. But the wolf bit the sword with his teeth, so Sung pushed with all his strength and managed to take him down. When the other wolf saw what happened, he got scared and ran away. Sung was alone again, so he started gathering supplies, swapping stones for tools, and figured he could sell them inside the system itself. Suddenly, in the dark, he saw some army of wolves with iron teeth was waiting for him, decided to attack, and charged right into the middle of them with his sword, causing a massacre. Meanwhile, Jo-hee gets a call from the association saying a gate has opened in the middle of the street and they urgently need medical help. She's still in shock. Back to Sung inside the special gate, he learns something new. Monster names now have colors. White means weak, orange means equal level, and red means stronger than him. He climbs down some stairs and reaches a place like dark sewers when suddenly a huge wave of water crashes against the wall just as he comes to. The fight got real as he found himself face to face with the huge, tough snake boss named Kasaka, the one with venomous fangs. Sung attacked him with his sword. Kasaka hit him hard in the water, and Sung barely managed to dodge just in time, almost getting thrown onto a full metro car. Kasaka kept beating him up, dragging him on the ground. Sung's sword broke, so he tossed it away and decided to rely on his new strength. He charged at the snake, grabbed its neck with his hand. The snake struggled and thrashed, but Sung held on tight, dug his fingers into its scales, and squeezed with all his might until the snake stopped moving. He won, and his prize was a Kasaka's fang that turned into a brand new dagger. The snake's body and the entire dungeon disappeared. As he was walking out, he ran into some soldiers. One of them yelled, "What are you doing here?" But once they saw his hunter license, they backed off. Sung asked them what was going on. The soldier told him a gate had opened in the street, monsters poured out, and only one giant boss was left. Using his new, heightened senses, Sung easily pinpointed the monster's location. He found a golem, a massive blue stone monster. The soldiers couldn't even scratch it. Sung glanced into the middle of the hunters. They were terrified and didn't know how to help anyone with their old trauma. Sung looked at that golem, deciding to step in. He grabbed the broken sword he had with all his strength, swung it from a distance. The sword flew like a rocket, hitting the golem's eye and breaking its defense. The hunters took the chance, attacked, and finished it off completely. Their leader stood there, surprised at how the monster got hurt. He noticed the broken sword and asked the soldier who hit it. The soldier said it was a hunter standing just behind, then disappeared. Sung had already left. Sung just got out of the hospital. Of course, all the daily training and the level-ups totally changed how he looked. His sister Gina saw him at home and was shocked by how different he looked. But the happiness didn't last. The landlord kept calling, demanding the late rent, and Sung desperately needed money. So he searched online and found an ad for a raid, rank C. They were just looking for anyone to fill the numbers so they could get into the gate. Sung went to the raid location and met the leader, Huang, but Huang just laughed. So, when he found out he was the weakest hunter, he just agreed to it to fill up the numbers, didn't really care. But since he needed the money, he signed up and went in. There, he met a rich young guy named Jinwoo who had that rank but was wearing some really expensive armor. They went through the gate, and the place was dark with hardly any monsters. Sung felt like the vibe was similar to that temple where he almost died. A bunch of ant-like monsters attacked them, but Huang's team easily wiped them out. Jinwoo was clumsy, running around thanks to his expensive armor. But Sung felt something was off. They kept going until they reached the boss's room. The place was full of really expensive gems, and in front of them was a giant spider sleeping. Jinwoo told the leader, "Don't forget Sung's share of the gems." Huang told Sung and Jinwoo, "Stay here while we go get the mining gear and come back." As soon as Huang and his team left, they blew up the entrance and locked the gate on Sung and Jinwoo. The plan was really clear. Sung and Jinwoo were the bait, and the spider would eat them and go back to sleep full. Jinwoo was shaking with fear, and Sung looked at him and said, "I'll handle this." Huang's gang would leave the gate and follow their plan. The giant spider takes out Sung and Jinwoo, then they go back into the tunnel to grab the loot. They're totally ignoring Jinwoo's expensive gear and talking so sneaky about how they're gonna grab the fat gems without even thinking about fighting the spider, even if the gate blew up and caused a disaster. He and his partner admit they never could have beaten the spider if it wasn't for their tricks. The spider's standing there angry while Jinwoo's trembling and telling Sung they've gotta get out of there. The spider is a rank C boss, but just smiled mockingly and attacked. Jinwoo was shocked, and Sung kept hitting with his dagger, but it had no effect on the spider's shield. Sung didn't give up. He kept striking and dodging the spider's fast moves. Jinwoo stood frozen, stunned, wondering how this could be. He thought Sung must be a false ranker, that these hunters hide their real strength just to enjoy the kill. Jinwoo was more scared of Sung than the spider. Sung started getting tired from all the running and jumping he kept doing, unable to find any weak spots. He got hit hard and was about to be finished off by the spider when Sung used the full healing reward he got from the daily quests. His energy shot back to 100%, and he jumped high with all his strength, plunging the dagger into the spider's eye. The dagger was poisoned and caused paralysis. The spider froze in place and died, and Jinwoo, terrified, gulped down his fear, flashing a fake smile, saying, "Boss, here's some water for you." Then Huang's gang showed up, looking down from above. They were shocked to see both of them alive and came down. Huang coolly told him, "Kill Sung and you'll live." But Jinwoo refused to betray Sung. At that moment, Sung's system screen popped up with an urgent mission: kill the enemies in front of you. Before Sung could react, their wizard hit him with a fireball that blew up the wall. Sung got up from the rubble, thinking about how this whole world depends on the strongest guy, and the system wants to kill humans to survive. He decided that if the system is using him, he'll use the system too. One of Huang's gang approached Sung, laughing and saying, "Don't finish your sentence, Sung." Cut his throat, and Sung realized he was basically a killer now with no turning back. He took them all out one by one. Huang attacked with all his might, but Sung, who was way stronger now, dodged his strike with one hand and grabbed him by the neck. Huang started crying and begging to be spared, but Sung coldly told him, "You tried to kill me," and then cut his throat, and Sung and Jinwoo got out safely. The association crew was shocked. How did the E and D rank survive? They guessed Jinwoo's expensive armor was the reason. Back at the guild office, Investigator Wu got a strange report. 8 hunters entered the gate. 6 of them died. The survivors were a guy named Jinwoo and another named Sung Jinwoo. Sung's name caught Investigator Wu's attention because he's the same guy who survived the double gate incident, and that they need to look into this new awakening issue. But the real problem is that one of the 6 who died was Huang Dong-suk. It turns out his brother is the hunter Huang Dong-su. At the same time, Dong-su finds out about the news through his assistant, Laura, and he goes crazy. He's convinced his brother was killed and asks his assistant about the punishment for killing someone abroad. Then, in frustration, he smashes his phone. Dong-su is sitting there looking at a photo of Sung and Jinwoo, and decides he wants revenge. Meanwhile, Sung's back home, bringing his sister Jina some fried chicken, reassuring her that he can cover their mom's hospital bills and the rent. Jina asks about the raid, but Sung spaced out, remembering how he cold-bloodedly took down Huang's gang and that he's ready to do it again if anyone tries to hurt him. That night, Sung tries to drink some booze, but the system, he gets a weird message that the toxins have been removed from his body. He realizes he's not affected by the alcohol anymore, so he opens his screens to check out his new abilities. Then he finds an old reward he hadn't noticed before, a blessing from Candiaru. Jina calls him, surprised at the empty reward boxes on his desk. Sung goes to meet Jinwoo at a cafe, and Jinwoo thanks him again for saving him from the Huang gang. Then Jinwoo makes him a crazy offer. "Boss, I want you to join my raid team. So, I need to complete 20 missions to apply for the master license, and that was the first one. Come with me for the next 19 missions." Of course, Sung refuses. Jinwoo explains that his dad owns Eugene Construction and is planning a big guild project, and his brother will be the leader. But they need a license. Sung still refuses. If he doesn't agree, his secret might get out. Sung gives him a terrifying look, then leaves without saying a word. Sung keeps running for the daily mission, finishing 10 kilometers, but notices the timer is still going. So, he decides to keep going and runs until he hits 20 kilometers. The secret mission is done, twice the required distance, and the reward is a box of treasures. Sung opens it and is shocked to find a strange key inside, a key to the demon castle, an S-rank gate. Sung still trying to process the message. The big prize inside that castle is the ingredients for the elixir of life. He doesn't wait a second, uses the gate key to open it, goes inside, and finds himself in a whole burning city. Suddenly, a nightmare-looking monster appears. A 3-headed dog called Cerberus. Sung attacks with all his might, but his daggers don't even scratch it. Cerberus strikes once and bites off his arm. At the same moment, the monster activates an anger skill that weakens Sung's power. Sung uses full healing, and his arm recovers instantly. He takes a healing potion, but still can't affect the beast. Then Sung remembers the Kasaka Fang dagger and uses it. The dagger's poison kicks in, and Sung himself stops being affected by the status effects. The monster almost finished him off, but Sung managed to injure him, but he kept stabbing it madly until Cerberus fell dead. Sung leveled up, all his wounds healed, and he took the prize, a recipe for the elixir and the key to the castle door. He promised himself he'd come back to rescue his mom. Sung stood in front of his mother in the hospital, in eternal sleep. He looked at her, determined to return to the demon castle and get the elixir of life. The next day, Sung met Jinwoo at the cafe. He agrees to his offer of 19 raids, but Sung had one condition: only you and me will enter the gates. Jinwoo is surprised, asking how. Sung calmly replies, "We'll do what Huang's gang used to do. We'll bring in other hunters to fill the number, give them their money, and send them off. We'll go in and clear the gate ourselves." Jinwoo agrees immediately. This is his chance to prove to his dad, who made him feel useless, that he matters. Sung goes back to his daily training and tries to repeat the double running move to get another key. But this time the system isn't helping me. Instead of a key, I got a random prize, a box that's totally useless. Sung just hit level 26 and feels frustrated. He thought about going to his punishment zone, the Scorpions area, to hunt there but dropped the idea. Suddenly, he gets an urgent message from the guild. Hunters are needed immediately at the gate for this rank. At the same time, this message went out to others too, including Chi-yeol, the old guy with one arm cut off, who decided to go help with whatever strength he had left. The message also reached the guy who ran off and left his family behind. His wife was begging him not to go, but he needed the money for his daughter. Meanwhile, Jo-hee, the healer, she decided she had to face her own fears too. Sung left his house without any shields or weapons, and his sister Jina was surprised at how much he'd changed. He wasn't coming back broken like before. On the way, he ran into Chi-yeol, who was shocked to see Sung. The boy looked completely different, and most of all, his missing leg was healed. They found Mr. Kim. As soon as Mr. Kim saw them, he keeps staring at the ground, feeling guilty cause they ran away and left him to die. Then, Jo-hee shows up too. Meanwhile, the 5 who survived the double gate have all come back together on the same team. Jo-hee was super happy to see him, but they haven't finished surprising them yet. The rest of the team arrive with the 3 rank C hunters, who are handcuffed. They turned out to be prisoners. The association uses them at the gates to reduce their prison time, and their guard is with them. That guard is Inspector Kong, a rank B hunter from the association. He's glaring at them, saying, "You all know what happens if any of you even try to play games with me, right?" The squad's in a hurry. No hunter ever had to use this method before. After the first fight, everyone was shocked by Sung's new strength, especially Chi-yeol and Jo-hee. Inspector Kong decided to split them into 3 teams to finish quickly. He took the prisoners through one tunnel, Sung took Jo-hee and Chi-yeol through another, and Mr. Kim and his partner went through the 3rd tunnel. Inspector Kong was actually a killer and took the prisoners into the tunnel to finish them off alone. By chance, Mr. Kim's group arrived and saw him committing the crime. The sound source appeared, and everyone was shocked by the sight. Mr. Kim and his partner were badly hurt. Inspector Kong emerged from the darkness and admitted that he planned to kill them all and pin the blame on the prisoners. Chi-yeol tried to defend himself and Jo-hee but got seriously beaten and injured. Sung stepped. The inspector was shocked by how fast Sung was and realized this was like a second awakening. Sung surprised the inspector by fully healing himself. Kong froze for a second, and the inspector was shocked. Sung took advantage of his shock and used his strike, which stunned the inspector and plunged the dagger into his heart. Sung earned the invisibility skill as a reward. The investigator Wu reached the scene and asked who killed the rank B. Chi-yeol lied to protect Sung, saying he was the one who did it with Jo-hee. The investigator was suspicious but let it go. That night, Jo-hee and Sung were sitting together when a gem appeared, and she said, "Remember this after the raid." Later, Sung and Jo-hee were walking in a garden when Jo-hee admitted she'd become a coward and decided to retire. The girl Sung took care of a while back at the double gate shows up, telling him she never sold him out. She greets him and walks away. Sung remembers the detective's warning after the raid that the rank S brother of Hwang might come for revenge over his brother's death, and the law can't touch a rank S. Sung realizes he needs to get stronger to protect himself. The next day, Sung and Jina start their plan for the 19th raid. Jina begins gathering 6 hunters on any pretext, including a minor girl named Han, who turns out to be Jina's friend and Sung's sister, to make a total of 8. Sung tells them that they're gonna get 3 million won just for standing outside, and only he and Jino are allowed in. Then they enter the Route C gate alone. The team outside was surprised but totally shocked when Song and Jino came out after just 1 hour, even though it's supposed to take 2. Song decided they'll clear 3 gates a day. Days passed, and Song was slaughtering ghouls, snakes, and wolves alone inside the gates. Jino was gathering stones behind him, amazed by Song's strength and stealth skill. Song reached level 40 and learned a new skill, a knockout punch, but he knows he needs to boost his intelligence because his mana runs out fast. Down the demon castle, Suddenly, the system pops up a message, "Are you ready to change your class?" Meanwhile, at the White Tiger hideout, the boss insults someone and his assistant Kishul notices that Jinwoo bought all the rank C gates in the area. The boss recalls the name Song from the double gate, the Huang Gang incident, and Inspector Kang's case, and suspects that Song has had another awakening. Ihan and Kishul arrive at the gate and find Jinwoo's team there. He's sitting outside like they're on a trip, acting clueless, listening to Song while he's leaving. He tells Jun that he's going to take a day off. Ihan makes sure he needs to kidnap Song for his plan. At night, Ihan meets Song in a cafe and offers him double the money Jun would give. Song laughs and says he usually gets 30 billion. Song gets up to leave but puts his hand on Ihan's shoulder and, in a threatening tone, says, "I know you've been watching me." Ihan turns around, looks everywhere, but can't find Song. He vanished, and swears he was just investigating the whole gate one thing and promised to keep it secret. Then Song shows up again, and offers to sell him 3 gates for 600 million. Song gives him a dose of medicine to heal the wound he got on his face and leaves right away. The next day, Ihan finds out Song fooled him. There were cheaper gates available in the market. But Song sends him a message, "We're done here." Ihan accepts the loss and's actually happy to have Song's phone number. Song gets in his car and drives off onto the highway. He's heading to a mission to change class. He opens a huge purple gate, and as soon as he enters, the system hits him with harsh rules. No healing potions, no full recovery, no healing after leveling up, and no leaving until the mission's done. Then Song hears the sound of metal, pulls out a dagger, and finds a knight in armor attacking him. He tries to stab him, but the dagger doesn't affect the armor. Song remembers how he took down Casca with his bare hands and throws. The dagger only has physical power. It grabs the knight and slices him in half. But the celebration was cut short when a whole army of knights appeared before him. Song fights the knights with his hands and strength alone. Suddenly, he senses an attack only to find a hidden assassin who finishes him off. Then he dodges an attack from a mage. Song realizes he needs to take down the mage first. Song defeats the last monster and puts on a new shining armor. He opens a giant door and finds a throne of darkness right in front of him. Standing there, the terrifying beast leader Igris with the red forehead attacks at lightning speed. Song tries to stab with his dagger, but the red armor stops him completely. Song throws his dagger, and Igris throws his sword too, so the fight stays fair. They're both throwing weapons, but Igris is totally wrecking Song, hitting him, tossing him around everywhere. Song uses all his skills, but he can't even land a hit. Igris throws him onto the throne. Igris summons his sword for the final blow. Song grabs the sword with his hand, shouting that it's not over yet. Then Song pulls out his dagger and stabs Igris in the eye, the only weak spot. The guy without armor gets summoned again and Igris jams it hard into his neck. Igris falls dead, and Song grabs the rewards. But he's shocked. More waves of monsters start showing up. The system says the more you block, the more points you earn to unlock higher classes. Song keeps fighting non-stop until he reaches the end, then suddenly a monster hits him, and he drops the teleport stone, which should get him out. Song finds himself surrounded by a cavalry army, about to die. Then he wakes up trapped in the throne room, with knights attacking from all sides, and the teleport stone is gone. There's no stopping it, no cure for it. Song fights all the way till the end. He remembers everyone who looked down on him back in the day. He starts seeing hallucinations, telling him to give up and rest. Then he has a nightmare where he sees his old self, laughing mockingly and saying, "See, there's no point. You'll always be weak." Then Ferris hits Sung, knocking him to the ground as he's dying, and he remembers the first time he almost died in the dual web, how the system saved him at the last second. The weak Sung smiles, and suddenly a message pops up saying the daily quest isn't complete. Song instantly gets teleported to the punishment zone. Song wakes up to find himself in the middle of a desert full of giant scorpions, and buys mana potions to restore his energy, though his wounds are still there. He looks at the scorpions and laughs. Used to run from them before, but now he's way stronger. He walks right among them. Song kills dozens of scorpions, keeps leveling up, healing all his wounds. Then he buys a new weapon from the shop, a dagger called the Night Killer. Merges more armor and gets a new skill from Agris called the Hand of the Ruler, kinda like remote control. The mission ends, and Song goes back to the throne room. Now there are more than 10 knights. No matter how many he kills, he doesn't level up. He figures out these knights are just summoned monsters. The real monsters are the wizards hiding somewhere. He spots a hidden wizard and uses a new skill, throwing daggers, and finishes him off. The summoned knights turn to dust, and Song repeats this to wipe out the whole desert. Then they summon a giant stone golem, but Song destroys that too. A message pops up. Mission complete. 4 hours of shock. Half the system tells him, based on your style and all that, the best class for you is Spirit Summoner Necromancer with an army of shadows. Song is shocked, like, how can I be a sorcerer? I'm a fighter. He thinks about refusing, but the system warns him it's a secret class. Song remembers the sorcerers he just killed, and realizes that if he had an army like that, he wouldn't have to fight alone anymore, so he agrees. But the system isn't done. It says, since you survived all that and killed all the enemies, you're not just a spirit summoner anymore, you've become the king of darkness, Shadow Monarch. You have to say the secret word you chose. Song tries the skill and summons 30 shadow soldiers immediately, staring at Iger's body that's just died, and decides to try his luck. He says, get up, but his skill fails. He tries again, fails. Only one more chance left. Song looks at Igers and tells him, get up, stop guarding the empty throne and come fight with me. Igers gets up from the ground like a terrifying shadow soldier. Song names him Igers. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember, every ending is the beginning of another story. See you next time. Bye.